The galaxy was wide, filled with millions of stars and thousands of worlds. Civilizations rose and fell under the rule of the Galactic Council, a great assembly of species that guided peace and order for centuries. They believed they had mapped every safe corner of space, every habitable world, and every threat that lurked in the darkness. But there were some places even they feared. They called them Deathworlds. Deathworlds were planets ranked by how hostile and impossible they were for life to exist. Class 1 to Class 10 were already nightmares, worlds of storms, volcanoes, or predators beyond reason. Even the bravest explorers avoided them. But there were rare records, hidden deep in the Council's archives, of Class 15. These were not just dangerous. They were places where the very air could kill, where the soil was poison, where the oceans burned, and where life had no right to exist. And yet, one such Deathworld had a name whispered in fear. The name was Earth. Most counselors never spoke it aloud. Some even refused to believe it was real. The few ancient records that survived described storms that could tear cities apart, beasts with teeth longer than a warrior's arm, diseases that wiped out entire populations, and climates that shifted from burning deserts to frozen wastelands. Even the Council's strongest species admitted they would never last a single generation there. The logic was simple. No civilized life could survive on such a planet. But then the rumors began. A mining ship had passed close to the restricted zone. Its crew returned pale, shaking, reporting impossible readings. They claimed to have detected signals, artificial signals, lights flickering across the surface, heat signatures from entire cities, and strangest of all, they had heard voices. Human voices. At first the Council laughed. It had to be a mistake, they said. No one could live on a Class 15 world. Perhaps it was interference or shadows of long-dead machines. But the evidence spread. More ships reported strange encounters. Traders whispered of shadowy vessels seen leaving the edge of the Deathworld, their designs unlike anything in Council records. The fear grew. Inside the Council chambers, endless debates erupted. Some demanded the world be destroyed at once, sterilized from orbit before its mystery could escape. Others warned against action, terrified of what force could exist on a planet like that. If something truly lived there, then by surviving such horror, they must be stronger than anyone could imagine. A veteran counselor, old and scarred, rose during one heated session and spoke words that silenced the room. If they survived that world, what chance do we have against them? No one answered. The archives revealed fragments of Earth's environment. Hurricanes that lasted weeks, earthquakes that swallowed cities, animals built like machines of war, faster, stronger, deadlier than anything bred in galactic arenas. Even the simplest plants were filled with toxins, forcing life there to adapt in brutal ways. It was a forge of endless pain, a crucible that broke the weak and hardened the strong. And now, Whisper said, the humans had not only survived, they had thrived. The Council grew restless. Who were these humans? What were they planning? Why had they remained hidden for so long? A secret team of scouts was sent to the edge of the forbidden zone. They approached with caution, expecting silence. Instead, their instruments lit up with impossible results. A thick atmosphere rich in oxygen, oceans teeming with life, millions, no billions of intelligent beings. Entire continents glowing with energy, networks of light stretching across the planet's dark side. The scouts froze in disbelief. Against every law of nature, the Deathworld was alive. And at its heart were the humans. The report reached the Council, and panic rippled like a storm through the chambers. Many demanded isolation, to seal the world forever. Some called for war, to crush the species before it could spread. But others shook their heads, pale with dread, because the truth was undeniable. Any people who had risen on such a world did not need to spread. They were already too dangerous. The Council had always believed the galaxy belonged to them, the old races with centuries of wisdom and fleets of war. But Earth was proof of something they could not control. Life did not just endure. It fought, clawed, and refused to die. And the humans, forged by that endless struggle, were the living embodiment of survival itself. Whispers filled the galaxy's dark corners. Pirates claimed they had seen human ships, small, battered, but impossibly fast. Merchants spoke of strange traders with eyes sharp as blades and voices steady as stone. They bartered fairly, but behind their calm there was a strength that unsettled even the boldest. And through it all, the question grew louder. If the humans could live on Earth, what could they do anywhere else? The Council did not answer. They could not. Fear chained their voices. In the end, only silence remained in the great chamber. Silence, and the heavy truth. The galaxy had feared Class 15 Deathworlds for centuries, but they had never imagined the real nightmare. The nightmare was not the storms, the beasts, or the endless poisons. The nightmare was that something had survived there, and that something now called itself human. The council chambers were still tense when the decision was made. A scout fleet would be sent, small, fast, and silent. Its task was only to observe. No contact, no risk, only knowledge. Yet everyone in that room knew the truth. Curiosity was dangerous. For centuries, the galaxy had avoided Deathworlds. To approach one was madness. But the rumors of humans had spread too far. The council needed proof. The fleet moved with caution. Its ships were sleek, cloaked in the newest shielding technology. They crossed the border into the Forbidden Zone, and for long days the stars were empty. But then, the Forbidden World came into view. Earth. The scouts expected a barren wasteland, a broken world of fire and storm. Instead, their screens filled with color. Vast blue oceans shimmered under golden light. Green continents stretched for thousands of kilometers. Clouds swirled across the skies, alive with storms, but strangely beautiful. For a moment, the crew forgot their orders and simply stared. But beauty was only the surface. Their scanners screamed with impossible results. Billions of life signs, endless networks of energy, structures reaching into the skies, glowing cities pulsing with power. Entire fleets of machines moved across the oceans and atmosphere, like living veins carrying the planet's lifeblood. Earth was not dead. It was alive. And not just alive, it was thriving. The lead scout whispered the word no one wanted to say. Humans. The crew froze. Every tale, every warning, every fear from the archives came alive at that single word. These were not survivors hiding in caves. They were a civilization. One that had built against the cruelty of their world and conquered it. Then the first shock came. As the scouts adjusted their orbit, they detected something moving. Small vessels, fast, agile, built for speed and hunting. They cut through the atmosphere and rose towards space. The scouts panicked. Had the humans seen them? Their ships were cloaked, undetectable by most known technology. Yet the human craft flew with purpose, heading straight for them. Alarms rang. The fleet commander ordered retreat, but it was too late. The human ships stopped just short of them, then spread out, forming a silent circle. The scouts felt the pressure of being prey caught in a hunter's snare. And then a voice came. Not in their language, not through translation tech. It was direct, raw, and powerful, like thunder echoing inside their minds. We see you. The crew went pale. The humans had spoken. They had pierced through advanced stealth and shielding as if it were nothing. For a long moment there was silence. Then the human voice continued, calm but sharp as a blade. You stand at the edge of our world. You come cloaked in fear. Speak or leave. The commander trembled. He had no orders for this. Contact was forbidden, but to remain silent felt worse. With shaking hands, he activated the translator and spoke. We are scouts, from the Galactic Council. We come in peace. The silence stretched. Every heartbeat felt like a countdown to destruction. Then the human voice returned, colder than before. Peace? You bring no peace. You bring eyes that judge. You bring fear. Leave our skies. And just like that, the human ships turned and fell back toward the planet. But the scouts knew they were not dismissed. They were spared. The fleet fled, engines burning as they left orbit. Yet their sensors continued to scream, capturing every detail they could. The data was overwhelming. Human technology was crude in appearance. Metal hulls, visible engines, no elegant designs like the Council's fleets. But it was powerful. The speed, the force, the efficiency, all built not for beauty but for survival. For war. When the fleet finally returned, their report shook the Council to its core. They had met humans. And the humans had seen them first. Debates erupted once more. Some dismissed it as exaggeration, claiming the scouts were overwhelmed by fear. But the data was undeniable. Earth was alive. Humanity had not only endured, but grown into a force strong enough to challenge the galaxy's oldest races. The counselors asked the same question again and again. How? The answer was simple yet terrifying. On a Class 15 Deathworld, only the strongest survived, and after thousands of years, humans were the result. A species shaped by endless storms, predators, and disasters. A species born to fight, adapt, and endure. Whispers spread faster than light. Entire star systems buzzed with the news. Traders told stories of human eyes that could pierce through lies, human hands that could build weapons from scraps, human voices that carried both kindness and threat, and always the same warning echoed in every hall. If they thrived on Earth, what will they do in the stars? The Council tried to contain the fear, but it was too late. Rumors had become truth. Humans were real. They had been found. But deep inside, the counselors knew the worst part. This was not the humans' first encounter. It was only the humans' first warning. The council chambers had always been places of pride. Great banners of alien empires hung across the walls. Voices of ancient races filled the air, their words heavy with authority. But after the report of the scouts, that pride was gone. In its place was fear. The counselors sat in silence, their eyes shifting, their voices low. The scouts had not just confirmed the existence of humans, they had proven something worse. Humans had noticed them first. One elder stood and spoke slowly, his voice trembling. Do you not see? They were not surprised. They were waiting. The words spread like poison. Waiting. Watching. If that were true, then humans already knew about the galaxy. They were not lost, they were not innocent, they were preparing. Soon, whispers turned into rumors. Stories began to flow through the trade networks. A pirate crew in the Outer Rim claimed they had been attacked by small human ships. At first, they laughed at the crude designs, jagged hulls, exposed armor, nothing like the sleek war vessels of the Council fleets. But their laughter ended quickly. The human ships moved with impossible speed. They twisted and dodged through asteroids as if they were born in chaos. In minutes, the pirates were destroyed. Only one survivor crawled away, whispering the same words over and over. They fight like demons. Merchants too shared stories. They spoke of secret trade outposts on the edges of space, where hooded figures bought supplies with strange, heavy coins. These strangers had sharp eyes, strong voices, and carried themselves with quiet confidence. They did not bargain much. They paid in full, took what they needed, and left. And when anyone dared to cheat them, the result was swift and brutal. The Council tried to dismiss these tales as exaggerations, but fear had a way of growing on its own. In back alleys, in marketplaces, in the halls of soldiers, the whispers grew louder. Humans were not weak. Humans were not desperate. Humans were powerful. The archives were opened again, this time studied with desperate attention. The records of Earth's conditions painted a clear picture. Diseases that would kill most species in hours were common illnesses to humans. Creatures that could crush armored soldiers were hunted as food. Climates that shifted between fire and ice were everyday weather to them. A counselor with deep red skin slammed his fist on the table. We call it a death world, but for them, it is simply home. That was the truth none of them wanted to accept. For centuries, the Council had believed strength came from technology, from science, from order. But humans had been shaped by nature itself, by an endless struggle that demanded survival above all else. Where others hid from storms, humans built in the middle of them. Where others avoided predators, humans learned to hunt them. And where others fell to despair, humans adapted, changed, and endured. But the whispers did not stop there. There were rumors of human soldiers. Not thousands, not millions, but countless. Armies trained from childhood, every individual hardened by pain, loss, and challenge. There were stories of weapons built not for elegance, but for efficiency. Blades that never dulled, guns that never failed, machines built to function in the worst environments. Some even claimed that humans had no fear of death, that they fought with a fury no species could match. If a human fell, another would rise, and another, until the enemy broke. One counselor, pale and shaking, finally voiced what many were already thinking. If they survived Earth, then perhaps they were never meant to stay there. Perhaps Earth was only their beginning. The chamber went silent, because everyone understood the meaning. If humans had built a civilization on the deadliest world known to the galaxy, then what would they build on safer worlds? If they had created weapons to fight beasts of Earth, what weapons could they create when facing enemies among the stars? If they had thrived in pain, how unstoppable would they be in peace? The whispers turned to dread. Some called for immediate war, demanding fleets be built to strike Earth before it was too late. Others shook their heads, warning that such an attack would fail. You do not fight survivors, one elder warned. You only make them stronger. And then came the final piece of fear. Another report arrived. Not from scouts this time, but from traitors. They claimed to have overheard a message. A human voice carried through old radio waves, slipping into frequencies the council thought lost. The message was short, simple, but it chilled every listener. We are watching, and we are learning. That was all. No threats, no demands, no pleas. Just quiet confidence. The council tried to silence the report, but it was too late. The galaxy was already alive with whispers. From the lowest miner to the highest commander, everyone repeated the same question. If humans could live on a Class 15 Deathworld, what else could they do? The whispers became storms. Fear became truth. The galaxy had never faced a species like this before. And deep inside, everyone knew, the humans had not even started yet. The council thought the whispers would fade. They believed fear would die down with time, but fear only grew stronger. Every passing week, more stories came. Smugglers spoke of human ships seen on the edges of known space. Soldiers reported hearing strange signals in their comms, voices that did not belong. The galaxy began to feel haunted, like unseen eyes were watching from the dark. And then, the warning came. It started as static, a faint hum across every communication band. At first, engineers dismissed it as interference, but then the hum changed. It became rhythm. It became words. We are coming. The message struck every world at once. From the richest core planets to the poorest colonies, the same voice echoed. Calm, steady, unshaken. It was not a threat shouted in anger. It was a statement of fact. We are coming. In the council chambers, chaos erupted. Some screamed that it was a trick, a false signal sent by pirates or rebels. Others whispered the truth. They knew it was real. Only humans could send such a message. Only they could cut through every shield, every frequency, every barrier at once. The council demanded answers. Who had allowed this breach? How could humans reach every corner of the galaxy with a single broadcast? No one had answers. The technicians shook with fear. The signal was not just technology, it was something else, something deeper, something primal. The message repeated once more. We are coming. And then it stopped. Silence filled the galaxy, a silence heavier than war. For the first time in centuries, the mighty empires of the council felt powerless. Their fleets, their weapons, their armies, all suddenly seemed small. Against humans, numbers would mean nothing. Against survivors of a death world, no wall would hold. The council called emergency meetings. Should they strike Earth before the humans arrived? Should they build defenses around every border? Should they surrender before war even began? But every option carried fear. Strike Earth? Madness. A world that had shaped humans would only make them stronger if attacked. Build defenses? Futile. Humans were hunters. They would find cracks. They would adapt. They would win. Surrender? Unthinkable. To surrender without war was to admit weakness. And weakness in the galaxy was death. While the council argued, the galaxy below reacted with panic. Colonies locked down their ports. Traders refused to fly certain routes. Citizens whispered in their homes, asking the same question: what do humans want? No one knew. The fear became unbearable when a second signal arrived. This time it was not a broadcast. It was a direct message, delivered into the very heart of the council's secure chamber. No one had seen the sender. No one had opened the channel. It was simply there, burning across their screens. The chamber fell silent. Even the bravest counselors could not speak. For centuries they had ruled with certainty. But now, they felt like prey. One counselor whispered, barely audible. What if they don't come as conquerors? What if they come as something worse, teachers? The thought chilled everyone, because it was true. Conquerors could be defeated. But teachers, those who survived where no one else could, might spread their ways. If humanity taught the galaxy what it meant to live as they had, then the old empires would crumble. Their order, their power, their pride, all gone. But there was still one more blow. Hidden deep in the message was a code. Old, almost forgotten. The language of early explorers, used before the council had even formed. Somehow humans had found it, and the message, when translated, was not just a warning. It was a promise. We have seen your stars. We will walk among them. We will not kneel. We will not fall. We will rise. The council broke into panic. Armies were mobilized. Fleets were armed. Borders were sealed. Yet deep in their hearts, they knew it was useless. The humans had not asked permission. They had not declared war. They had simply announced what was already decided. They were coming. And nothing could stop them. Asterisk. The galaxy had always believed in its own strength. The council ruled with wisdom and fleets, its oldest races holding power beyond imagination. Yet in the quiet after the warning, all that strength felt hollow. No law, no army, no empire could erase the simple truth. Humans were coming. At first, weeks passed with silence. The council dared to hope it had been a bluff, a cruel trick, meant only to spread fear. But then ships appeared. Not massive war fleets, not endless armies, small vessels, sharp and dark, sliding from the shadows of space. They came without banners, without symbols of conquest. But when they entered council-controlled systems, everything changed. The first planet to see them was a mining colony. Its people expected raiders, pirates, something familiar. Instead, the strangers walked out in plain sight, humans tall and steady, their eyes calm but unyielding. They did not draw weapons. They simply looked. And under those eyes, the miners felt something strange. Fear, yes, but also respect. The humans spoke. Not in alien tongues, not in threats, but in simple words carried through translators. We are not here to bow. We are not here to beg. We are here to stand. And then they left, just as quickly as they had come. But the effect was greater than any invasion. News spread faster than light. Across systems and sectors, whispers turned to shouts. Humans had arrived. They did not need to conquer with guns or fleets. Their very presence shattered old certainties. The galaxy's strongest powers looked weak beside them, because every species knew the truth. If humans could tame Earth, then no battlefield would ever defeat them. The council tried to hold control. They declared humans a danger, an unlawful force, a threat to peace. They demanded unity against the Deathworlders, Fleets were positioned, defenses raised, yet soldiers hesitated, commanders whispered doubts. How do you fight those who have already survived the worst war imaginable, the war against their own world? Soon, human ships grew bolder. They did not stay at the edges. They entered trade routes, walked through marketplaces, even stood in the chambers of the proudest rulers. Wherever they went, they carried the same message. Humanity would not kneel. On one world, a human stood before 1,000 armed guards and spoke with quiet strength. You called Earth a death world, but to us, it was only life. And life is something we will never surrender. The guards lowered their weapons, not from fear of dying, but from the realization that these words were true. The council, desperate, prepared one final act. They called upon their grand fleet, a gathering of thousands of warships. The plan was simple: trap the humans, overwhelm them, crush them before they could spread further. But when the fleets met in the dark void, the truth became clear. Human ships were fewer. Their technology seemed crude. Their armor was scarred. And yet, when battle began, it was the Council fleet that faltered. Humans fought with a rhythm no machine could predict. Their ships darted like predators, turning asteroids and nebulae into weapons. They used the chaos of the battlefield as if it were home, because it was. For them, chaos was life. One Council commander watched in horror as his fleet broke apart, crushed not by numbers but by will. His final words before retreat were simple: "We are not fighting soldiers, we are fighting survivors." The battle was short. Not a victory for humans in the sense of conquest, but a revelation. The galaxy now understood. If a few ships could defy thousands, what would happen when all of humanity rose together? And so the whispers changed once more. No longer fear alone. Now there was awe. Merchants began to speak of human honor. Soldiers spoke of human courage. Even the poorest of colonies spoke of hope. Hope that perhaps these new arrivals, born of fire and storm, could break the chains of the Council's endless control. The Council tried to silence it, but the truth had already spread. Humanity had risen. They were not gods. They were not demons. They were something far more dangerous. They were proof. Proof that life could endure anything. Proof that strength did not come from comfort, but from struggle. Proof that no empire was eternal. From the heart of their death world, humans had stepped into the stars, and with them came a lesson the galaxy would never forget. We are humanity. We are survivors, and we will rise. The Council could only watch as their order cracked, their laws, their fear, their control, all of it shaken by a species they had once believed impossible. The galaxy trembled, but deep inside, a new truth took root. The age of the old powers was ending. The age of humanity had begun.